Today I'd like to show you how I install Clad brick mold casing in the field on a Marvin window. What you get from the factory is quite different than what you get in the field. So I'm here to help you with it, so let's get started. So one of the first things to do is go ahead and remove the stock nail fin from the window if it has it. My number one tool will work for that. Just help assist that off all the way around the window. So the next thing to do is to prep the corners. On this double hung, the corners, as you can see, this one's already been done. All you need to do is just take a chisel to the corner like that and just pound the corners off. So when you install that brick mold casing, it'll go clear. I don't know if you can tell here, but this is the bottom of a window on a double hung. If this were a casement, it would look slightly different. Go ahead and take a piece of this field applied brick mold casing, and obviously this Clad's going to go all the way through. This window's already had casing put on it, but you can use this as a guide and go ahead and mark that, and just you can use a little hacksaw to make sure that's nice and straight. You want to make sure it's continuous so it looks just like that, and you're going to do that on both sides. Before you can install the subsill on this window, I recommend, if you have extra lengths of this, because this comes in really long lengths, to go ahead and cut it a little longer than what you need so you can use this as a guide for the subsill. So obviously this piece of subsill has already been cut for this window, but this comes in really long lengths. So what I would do is put a piece of brick mold casing on both sides like that so you can see how long you need to cut this brick mold casing. Of course, you can measure the width of each one and add it to the width of the window. But I find if you just take a piece, butt it up here, make sure everything's just like that, you can mark it and then cut this to fit. As you can see, of course, we're pretending that this piece is longer. So we're going to go ahead and after we cut this length to make sure it's the proper length, then we're going to follow this piece all the way down, and I'm going to draw a little line here. So we're going to take our little hacksaw and go all the way down to the top of that. So you put the tape there to protect it. Now if you have a lot of these, because this is in an angle, if you have a whole bunch of these, I actually have a bandsaw that I've set up so I cut this way. You're in the field, you may have to do this with a hacksaw, go like this, to go all the way down so your brick mold casing clears. So the next thing to do is go ahead and take our backer rod. We're going to go ahead and use a screen roller, and we're going to put that in there. That's going to help make a watertight seal when we put on our subsill and our casing. And we're going to go around the whole perimeter of this window. So since we got these pre-drilled already, we're going to go ahead and put these in, probably every 8 inches or so. Okay, with the subsill applied, as you can see, there's an angle here. And if I remember correctly, that's a 7-degree bevel. So I'm going to take this 2 pieces here, and I'm going to take out my chop saw, and I'm going to cut a 7-degree bevel on both of these. Now that we got the bottom 2 pieces cut at 7 degrees for this bevel here, we're going to go ahead and set these on. When you set this on the sill, make sure that this seam is as tight as possible. Now you can use a standard speed square like this, and we're going to follow this seam on the window. So we'll go ahead and line that up perfectly, draw a line. Now that we got our miters cut at 45 degrees on our sides, I ensured that I used a speed square to make sure that my chop saw was nice and accurate. We'll go ahead and dry fit this piece here. When I was out there, I went ahead and cut one side of the top, so we'll go ahead and dry fit that. We're going to go ahead and follow this miter of the frame, and I'm going to line up the edge of my speed square up with that seam, and then I'm going to draw a line on the top piece, and then we'll cut that on the saw. Okay, now that we got our top piece cut, we'll go ahead and dry fit all these pieces. Yeah, that looks really good. Now, earlier, hopefully I told you to cut a small sliver like this so you can see the profile of it. Because there's a screw boss here, and that screw boss goes down the entire length of this, we need to know where to drill that. So instead of guessing, we can go ahead and just put that up there like that, use it as a template, take our pencil, and we'll go ahead and mark a hole there so we can pre-drill it. Okay, we'll do the same thing to the other side. You can see the little hole right there. It's going to follow right in that line. Okay, we're at the bottom of the window. Obviously, this is the hole that was there previously that's not going to be on your piece, but this is factory installed, and as you can see, the field applied brick mold casing, this is off a little bit. So we'll go ahead and use this as a template again. Be sure that this side is lined up, and we're going to have to pre-drill a hole right there. And as you can see, even though there's a lip here, this still lines up a little bit, so you know we're not going to be too far off. Do the same thing to the other side. Okay, now I'm going to take my 9/64 inch drill bit, because 9/64 fits that screw boss perfectly. We'll go ahead and pre-drill our hole. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put my screw in the bottom here. Now the top one's going to be a little bit more complicated. So when I drill through the top, I'm going to go ahead and make sure I drill through that, and then we'll trim this off a little bit so the screw doesn't mushroom that out. With this up, I'm going to try to that drill bit as straight as possible and drill through that screw boss right there. See what a mess that is a little bit? So we're going to go ahead and trim that out a little bit, just to give room for that screw to go into. I don't know if you can see right there. See how this aluminum sits just a little proud? That's not going to give us a good miner. So we'll go ahead and take a file and file that out. Okay, we'll go ahead and countersink our holes at the top. We'll go ahead and screw this in. We're dry fitting all this to make sure everything fits before we permanently attach it. Now that we are ensured that everything fits properly, everything's just dry fit for right now, so we can still take it off. Now it's in time to install it permanently by using this vinyl connecting barb, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Let's go ahead and remove this. Now it's time to install this in this kerf. It goes on in this manner, just like that. Hopefully you can see that pretty good. It doesn't have to go all the way to the bottom here. Just push it in. Make sure it's in all the way. And maybe 1/4 inch or 3/8 of an inch from this side. Cut it a little short here. So when you put the part in for the top, these two pieces don't hit. The reason why you put this on last is once you put this casing on here, once you get this on, you're not getting this back off. So that's why we put that on last. Okay, we got all that on. Let's go ahead and we'll start at the bottom. Make sure it's pushed in there. And we'll go ahead and put our screws in at the bottom. Now that we got the bottom secured, we can go ahead and fit all this on here. Just take a mallet, just like that. And as you can see, it's on there pretty good. So now we need to go ahead and flip it over. Now it's time to caulk the seams here all the way around the window. I like to use some Dow 1199 all along here, all along here. Make sure you cover all that, and then along these edges here. And then we'll do that all the way around. I go ahead and take my finger. I'm going to do this. Put some at the bottom in those holes there, all along this edge here, and just make sure that's a generous amount of silicone. Then you may even want to wipe the tops, make sure there's anything that's in there, and get those filled with some silicone. Now, if you ever have to remove this brick mold casing from this window, it is extremely difficult to get it off in one piece just by pounding it off. I found the easiest way is to order more of this vinyl connecting barb and just taking a utility knife and cutting these two pieces along here. And then that way, this go along that edge, and you can take that casing right off and then pull the two pieces of this out of there when you're done. Well, there you have it. That's how I install field applied brick mold casing on a Marvin window. And if you found this video informative, please consider hitting the subscribe button below. Thank you for watching and have a great day.